Minor adjustments is dedicated to preventing and reducing crime. Our primary purpose is to teach men or women how to make the minor adjustments that are necessary in their lives, which will allow them to obtain and maintain a productive lifestyle after incarceration and or rehabilitation. Our motto is anywhere but backwards. Everybody say anywhere but backwards. The words in that mission statement, it says to obtain, and the other one is maintain. Listen to me. To obtain means to come into the possession of something. Maintain means to keep it in existence. Listen. The reason why I say that, everybody say to obtain my sobriety is easy. Our challenge is to maintain it. Say to obtain our sobriety is easy. Our challenge is to maintain it.
Good evening, everyone. To obtain our sobriety is easy. Our challenge is to maintain it. Welcome, everybody, to the Minor Adjustment Virtual Lesson. Our topic for today will be stay humble. I always like to emphasize that our motto is anywhere but backward. Anywhere but backwards. No matter what situation you face in the minor adjustments, our mission, our motto, and our mantra is to go anywhere but backwards. Minor adjustments is dedicated to preventing and reducing crimes, and our primary purpose is to teach men or women how to make the minor adjustments that are necessary for their lives, which will allow them to obtain and maintain a productive lifestyle after incarceration and or rehabilitation. Our motto is anywhere but backwards. I want to thank everybody for logging on and tuning in today for this lesson. Let's see what we got. So we're going to go over the mission statement, what we just recited. I want to go over this mission statement again because it's very important. It's on page number 5. Let's go to page number 5. It says, I love if you see on the screen, the 3 words up top, information plus application equals destination. The reason why those words are there, and a lot of times when we're doing a minor adjustments group, we always ask individuals, which one do you believe is the most important? Which one do you believe is the most important? And the reason why we ask that, because everybody will have a little different ideas about one. They would say information. Somebody might say application. Somebody might say destination. And the reason why we ask those questions, because all of them are important. However, the most important one is application. Because if you're taking this particular minor adjustments lesson in this course and you get all this information, if you never apply the information to your own personal life, I like life application, then you won't get to the true destination that you're supposed to get to. So minor adjustments, we often want to point out information plus application equals destination. So let's look at what we have here. The mission statement. Minor adjustments is dedicated to preventing and reducing crime. Our primary purpose is to teach men or women how to make the minor adjustments that are necessary for their lives, which will allow them to obtain and maintain a productive lifestyle after incarceration and or rehabilitation. The reason why this is very important, those 2 words, if you see them on the screen, obtain and maintain, they're highlighted, they're big, they're the biggest words probably on that page. To obtain means to come into the possession of something. Let's go to the next page. To obtain means to come into the possession of something. The reason why that's very important is because when you obtain your sobriety, once you obtain your sobriety, or for my own personal life, in August 2009, when I attained my sobriety, I didn't have to go obtain my sobriety in August 2010. I simply needed to learn the relapse prevention skills, develop my spiritual development, get mentors, sponsors, spiritual advisors, whatever you might need to help maintain your sobriety. So to obtain your sobriety is easy. The challenge is to maintain it. So the Minor Adjustments Program is designed to help individuals learn different relapse prevention skills, life skills, all type of peer recovery support strategies, different methods and different things to help maintain what they have already obtained in a particular life. So I hope you understand that. Let's go now. Let's look at our topic for the day, and we're going to go to page 61. We're going to go to page 61, and we're going to go over each week. We do a particular section of the Minor Adjustments Workbook. This workbook is the students' workbook that we're going over, and we do one part. The next part is what we require individuals to do on their own time. So here we're going to do the lesson for today is to stay humble. This particular lesson, to stay humble. And before we even go into that, I briefly mentioned how for 22 years I struggled with crack cocaine and heroin and criminal lifestyle for 22 years, since the age of 16 to the age of 38. However, today, thanks be to God, I'm a certified drug and alcohol counselor and a national certified peer recovery support specialist. And the reason why I mentioned that before we get into the lesson of staying humble is because it's very important that you have your humility in check based on you making the minor adjustments that you have made thus far in your life. You're going to start to achieve things. And if you have a prideful type of spirit, or you have some type of issue with ego or anything like that, and you don't have the humility part intact, then it's going to actually not work good in regards to the things that you're going to achieve. Me knowing that you're going to achieve these things. All right. So let's look at each group. Each session, we have an expectation for each group. This particular group, our expectation is each person will learn how to be humble and confident. I'll explain that. Each individual will learn how to be humble and confident. It's very important. The first test of a great man or woman is their humility. By humility, I don't mean doubting their powers or hesitation in speaking their opinions, but merely an understanding of the relationship between what they can say and what they can do. Do you wish to be great? Think first about the foundation of humility, because the higher the structure is to be, the deeper must be the foundation. Power is dangerous unless you have humility. You must stay humble. Power is dangerous unless you have humility. That's why I briefly mentioned how I was 22 years. I struggled with crack cocaine and heroin. And for the last years, since 2016, I've been a certified drug and alcohol counselor and national certified peer recovery support specialist. And during the course of that, I obtained opportunities to be able to supervise a lot of different recovery coaches and things like that. So that put me in the position of having power. That's why this is in the book. Power is dangerous unless you have humility. If you're not grounded with your humility, you can take the power or the position of leadership that you will obtain from making minor adjustments, and then you can sort of lord it over individuals. So this is why in the Minor Adjustments Program, we teach about humility. And it's awesome that we have this particular chapter at the end of the Minor Adjustments course, which is the next chapter, is talking about living victorious. But before you live victorious, you want to have your humility in check. So remember, our expectation for today is each person will learn how to be humble and confident. Let me explain a little bit briefly. I'm humble enough to know, right, that God graced me to be able to do what he has called me to do in my life. But I'm confident enough to know that can't nobody actually use the gift that he gave me personally better than me. I want you to understand that. You got to be humble and confident. Be humble enough to know that the gifts and the talents and the anointings and the things that you have received was given to you by God, right? You got to be humble enough about that. But you also, at the same exact time, must be confident enough to know that nobody can use your gift and your talents and your abilities better than you. How do I know that? Because they're your gifts, your talents, and your abilities. You might have other individuals who have similar gifts and similar talents, but those individuals, likewise, you can't use their gifts and their talents and their abilities better than them, because the things that you are using come from the inside of you. So you got to make sure you stay humble and realize that the gifts and the talents and the abilities were blessed and given to you, but you also have to be able to stay confident. You have to be able to be confident about what you are doing with your abilities and your talents and your gifts and the anointing that you have on your life. You have to be confident about that, because the reason why I mention this is because sometimes individuals will not walk in their confidence because they think it will make them prideful. But we're going to learn a lot about that. So you got to also be humble and you got to be confident at the same time. The word humility means the state of quality of being humble, freedom from pride and arrogance, lowliness of mind, a modest estimate of one's worth. Watch this. A lowliness of mind, right? It doesn't mean that you're not confident, but you want to make sure you're not prideful or arrogant, right? And you have to understand that sometimes individual will misdiagnose, if that's a great word to use right there, misdiagnose your confidence as arrogance. But we're going to talk about that also. Watch this. What do you know, or who do you know that's humble? Who do you know that's humble? Because a lot of times when you learn about somebody who walking in humility, we have in our forefront of a person that we might know personally or watch from afar, and we'd be like, that individual, I like how that person, I know a few different individuals that I consider to have a real good humble type of spirit, right? They're not pushovers, they're not prideful, they're not arrogant, they just have a very humble spirit, right? And who do you know that's humble? Why do I have that there? Look at this bullet right here. This is not in the student workbook, this is written in mine. Don't let your humbleness take away from your confidence, and don't worry about those people who mistakes your confidence as arrogance. This is listen to me. You don't let your humbleness take away from your confidence, and don't worry about the people who mistake your confidence as arrogance. I've learned that some individuals who have low self-esteem, when they see a confident individuals, right, they start to say the confident individual is actually arrogant. And the reason why they associate your arrogance with they associate your confidence with arrogance is because they struggle in that area. So when they see a confident person, they sort of want to be like that person prideful or that person arrogance. But that's not that. It is your assignment. It is my ability or my job to get you to not worry about people who associate your confidence as arrogance. You don't have to prove to them that it's confidence and it's not arrogance. The individuals, majority, if I had to use a percentage, I would say about 85% to 90% of the individuals who see your confidence as arrogance has an issue about their self-confidence. I'm willing. And if I'm able to ask those individuals who associate people with being arrogance, if I'm able to ask them certain questions, if they answer the questions, depending on how they answer the questions, I can actually see that they struggle in that area of confidence. I'm a strong-willed individual, and I'm able to use innate ability that it was blessed by God to be able to encourage myself, despite the odds might be stacked against me, or it doesn't seem like things are going my way. I'm able to encourage myself because I always push myself to try to succeed, and no matter what area I might be operating in at that time. It can be in the gym. I might be tired on the treadmill or lifting weights, and I might be like, man, my back hurting, or I don't feel like doing it. I'm able to tap into something inside of me that will push me past that, right? And a lot of times people might associate, when you have this type of confidence, they would think you are what's considered arrogant. So who do you know that's humble? And don't let your humbleness take away from your confidence, please. Don't try to be humble. You'll be so humble that you stop being confident. Oh man, I hope you understand that. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. And please don't worry about those people who mistakes your confidence as arrogance. This is what I want you to understand. That's their problem, not your problem. All right. So don't worry about them. Let's see what we got here. All right. Let's go to the next page. What do you think about a humble person? What do you think about a humble person? Sometimes we see humble individuals or people that we associate with being a humble individual, and we have a preconceived idea about that individual. Like, why they letting people take over? Why they letting people do this to them? Why they don't? And it's not about that. It's not that they let an individual do things or get away with things, but they realize that some things are not it's not worth getting into conflict over. So we're talking about staying humble. You know, when you're staying humble, you got to understand you don't always have to defend things, and you don't often have to say, you know, I'm letting this person get over, but that may not be the case at all. Humility always precedes promotion. Humility always precedes promotion. What that means is it always comes before promotion. So before you go into get a promotion in any area of your life, right? You're going to have to make sure you got your humility in check, because the humility part always comes before you get the promotion. If you get the promotion before you won't work on your humility, it's possible you will get into the position or get the promotion or get the whatever, and you might lord that over the individuals that you might be working with or under, right? Or working over. So you want to always remember that humility always precedes promotion. So when you're operating in a person that's humble, watch this, but you're confident, you're humble and confident, right? That's a good place to be in, because all of those characteristics are associated with promotions. Oh man, I hope you understand that, man. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. Who do you think? I mean, what do you think about a humble person? You know, these questions in here are for individuals to jot down, or what they feel or what they think about a humble person. Some people, like I just mentioned, might think a humble person gets pushed over, or people don't worry about them as much, or people always try to get over on them. Or I like a humble individual. I've been thinking they're strong. I think a humble individual is strong because some of the situations that individuals are faced with, when you have a humble type of spirit, or a humble type of dispensation about different things, you automatically know that it's not about me proving something to somebody. I'm just a humble individual. At the same exact time, you're confident. Okay, let's look at the next one. What is your foundation built on? This is, remember, you got to go back. Let's go back to the last page. Remember, on the last page, I said the first thing about the foundation of humility, it says the deeper must be, the higher your structure is to be, the deeper must be its foundation. So the question on this page is, what is your foundation built on? My foundation is built on my spiritual foundation. My foundation is my spiritual relationship with God. Everything I do on my life is built on that foundation. And the reason why the question, what is your foundation built on? Because if your foundation is built on something that can crumble, then a lot of things in life will start to crumble whenever your foundation crumbles. Let me give you an example. If you hear the saying that the reason why I can't succeed in life is because of this particular race is holding me down. If your that's your foundation, then more than likely you're not going to succeed at a lot of different things, because that's a terrible foundation, because it's not true. The only person that can stop you from succeeding at something is you. So it doesn't matter. So I'm using that as an example. Or let's use another one. The question is, what is your foundation built on? If your foundation is built on the only individuals who are in drug rehabilitation centers or incarceration are only this particular race, right? That's the terrible foundation, because me, as a person who have been incarcerated for a lot of years, when I got incarcerated, it was all different races, all different religions, and all different everything inside the prisons that I was in. So I had that type of foundation before I went in there. But once I got in there and saw all these different races and all these different people who come from different backgrounds, I had to eliminate that foundation, because that foundation was actually false. But the question is, what is your foundation built on? And the reason why that is a good question is because whenever you're building something, the higher you're going to go, it's depending on how strong is the foundation. My foundation is built on my relationship with God, my spiritual foundation. So I stand on that. So I build everything in my life off of that foundation. And if I'm not able to build something off of that foundation, then I don't get involved with it, because I must have that as my foundation, because that's what I call my spiritual rock. If I build everything on that, then I'm able to succeed in any area of my life. What is your foundation built on? This is a minor adjustment that you have to make in your own relationships and everything that you're doing. Go back, find out, do I have a firm foundation? Because a lot of the things that you're facing in life can be overcome if you focus on what foundation you have been building. Because you can tear that foundation up, just like I used the analogy or the situation of being in prison. But before I went to prison, I thought that the only people that went to prison was individuals who looked like me or was of my race, until I got in prison. And then I realized that foundation, I don't know who planted it in my head, but as soon as I got in there and said, wait a minute, that foundation is false. So you got to understand, what is your foundation built on? Okay, let's see. Do you believe power is dangerous without humility? Power is dangerous. I do believe that. Humbleness involves self-control. Man, some of the things that you might be facing, I'm giving you minor adjustment principles about stay humble, to stay humble. Humbleness involves self-control. The reason why humbleness involves self-control is because when situations and circumstances arise in your life and you want to act a certain way or respond a particular way, if you have good self-control, you'll be able to not respond in a way where it will cause you some type of problem or backlash or whatever. So humbleness involves self-control. Is this particular situation, circumstances that I'm facing, is it really cause for me to respond in a negative way that I'm going to receive some consequences? And remember, humbleness involves self-control. If you'll be able to develop in the area of self-control, right, you're able to avoid some things in your life. From this point forward, now that I'm speaking about it, some of the situations you might face today or face yesterday or will face tomorrow will be handled differently if you just channel your self-control. Because you might normally respond a particular way. But now that we're talking about you staying humble, you might change your strategy. And let me help you out with this. Sometimes your development in the area of self-control will shock the individuals who used to do things to you, say things to you, but you no longer respond to those things. And now it's going to actually shock them. So humbleness involves self-control. I hope you get that there. Let's look at the next one. It says, can you last being arrogant? Woo! Do you think you can last if you was an arrogant individual? It's a fine line. See it on the screen. It's a fine line between arrogance and supreme confidence. So arrogance is right. If we thought about one side being supreme confidence and another side being arrogance, they real close. Oh, they real close. They real close. A supremely confident individual has tapped into their abilities and their gifts and their talents so much so that they are supremely confident because they have been operating in that particular gift, that particular thing for a period of time. And they became supremely confident in their abilities to do it, right? I can give you an example. If you're recording or you're doing something, the first time you probably go out and start to do it, you have a particular confidence about doing it. But when you're doing it and you have been doing it for years, right, you become supremely confident. It's not an arrogance. You're just supremely confident that I'm able to operate in this particular fashion, not counting something going wrong, loss of internet or something like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about with everything operating is how it's supposed to function the way it's supposed to, you become supremely confident about that area. If you are a teacher and you've been teaching for a long time, nobody ain't going to say you're arrogant. You're just going to be very supremely confident about being that teacher or whatever area you might be in. If you're trying to make this particular minor adjustments about being arrogant versus being supremely confident, this is something that you just got to deal with, and you just got to learn how to stay humble. When you stay humble, remember, humbleness involves self-control. Humbleness helps you deal with things better because your response is totally different. And you got to remember, you can't last being arrogant. It won't last. It will not last. An individual will not last being arrogant. So no matter who you are, remember, a person can't last being arrogant. And this is why sometimes when the minor adjustment program is a program that individuals have to get accustomed to, because when you're dealing with substance use disorder or criminal lifestyle, you don't normally hear individual teaching on humility. But the minor adjustment program is a totally different type of program. It's built on principles from our foundation, which we know is talking about humility all throughout the Bible, which we built our foundation, built this business or built this program on, and that comes from our spiritual foundation. So you cannot last being arrogant. So if you were an arrogant individual, it's not too late for you. It's just that now that you hear about staying humble and hear things about humility, it's now for you to start to address those issues. You might not have to go to somebody and tell them, I'm an arrogant individual. I'm not saying you have to do all that. We know how we have been arrogant in some areas, but there's a difference between arrogance and supreme confidence. It's a thin line. It's right there. But when you have supreme confidence about your abilities, the gifts, the talents, the anointing, or the things that you are doing in your life, it's okay. It's nothing wrong with that. You just got to make the minor adjustments if you see yourself being a little bit more arrogant. Let's see what we got. A lot of parents today are terrified that something they say to their children, that something that say that their children might make them feel bad. But hey, they should feel bad if they've done something wrong. It's a proven fact that the children or adults with a sense of responsibility and not an entitlement who know when to experience gratitude and humility, they will always be better at navigating through life. Watch this. I didn't say the person who has a sense of responsibility, not a sense of entitlement, are better at other individuals, kids or children or adults. I'm saying that they are better at navigating through life. The person who has a sense of responsibility, or the person who often experience gratitude and humility, they're able to navigate through life a lot easier than a person who has a sense of entitlement, like I'm supposed to have this, you got to do this for me, you got to do that for me. A person who have a sense of entitlement versus a person who has a sense of responsibility or who experience gratitude and humility, they will always be able to navigate through life because things won't be too difficult for them because they have no sense of entitlement. They know that you have to earn, you have to work, you have to develop, you have to do this thing. Once you get it, then that's totally different. But in order for you to get to a certain particular way, for me, it's 15 years since I've been removed from any drugs or alcohol or things like that. It's been 15 years, right? Listen, but if an individual see you now and you're a certified drug and alcohol counselor, you're nationally certified peer recovery support specialist and all of that, right? And 15 years removed from substance and everything, right? If an individual think, well, I want all that now, that's thinking you got a sense of entitlement and not realize that it was a process to get to where I am at this far in my life, and I have not stopped growing and stopped developing. But individuals might have a sense of entitlement and think, I'm going to get right there just like that. But that's not how it works. You got to experience gratitude and humility, and you got to have a sense of responsibility, meaning I have to put the work in. I have to put the work in to achieve what I'm trying to achieve in my recovery walk. You got to put the work in. You got to start at going to a facility, a rehabilitation center, or detox, or wherever you might be. You have to put the work in first. Don't have a sense of entitlement. You have to have a sense of responsibility. Like, I'm going to put the work in to get to where I'm trying to go, especially if you have a purpose. Number 64, humility is the thought for the day. This is the thought for the day right here. And we're going to wrap it up right on this. Humility is the only true wisdom by which we prepare our minds for all the possible changes in life. Humility is the only true wisdom by which we prepare our minds for all the possible changes in life. See, humility helps us prepare our minds. Remember, I said our response is different. When humbleness involves self-control, it involves self-control because we don't respond the same. We're operating in humility. We operating with a humble spirit. So we're trying to stay humble. So humbleness involves self-control. Humility is the only true wisdom. We prepare our minds for all possible life changes. It involves all possible life changes. That is awesome. So today, again, Minor Adjustments is dedicated to preventing and reducing crime. Our primary purpose is to teach men and women how to make the minor adjustments that are necessary for their lives, which will allow them to obtain and maintain a productive lifestyle after incarceration and or rehabilitation. Today's lesson was about staying humble. You need humility. The reason why the humility aspect has to be, or the humility characteristic have to be developed, is because you're going to start to achieve things once you stay away from the life that you used to live. And when you start to achieve things, I don't want you to actually become prideful or arrogant. I want you to always stay humble, because things will start to speed up for you, and you will start to obtain a lot of different things. Again, my name is Michael Mickey Williams Jr., and our motto is anywhere but backwards. I see you guys soon.